their wits' end to see if they're going to be able to hold control. We're going to start things off with the ban phase, and this should actually be, considering ENCE on attack, if we continue to go by the way the first 2 maps has gone, theory should be an advantage their way. Glass will, however, be our first ban out. We saw that happen in the first map, and it's going to make a reappearance now in the 3rd map.
Yeah, nothing too surprising about that. Both Glass and Ying, very tough to deal with on the armory take. Dokkaebi, fair enough, that limits some of the smokes that you would otherwise have comboed with Glass. So but we do see that Liquid runs Dokkaebi, and especially Brazilian teams run Dokkaebi quite a lot with the C set as almost an entry fragger. So at least you know, your phone's not going to be ringing too much.
Yep, and they won't have to deal with those issues, of course, especially considering how destructible in general Border tends to be. Not having to deal with a phone call forcing a reposition is something that's going to be great. On the opposite side, though, Mirror again getting knocked out. I think this is actually the same exact bans we had back on Bank, so we're going to see pretty much all those making a reappearance. The thoughts from the teams seem to emulate pretty much exactly from Bank.
We're getting very used to not seeing Mirror being played. It's really, like, every bomb site is playing very different whether Mira is allowed or not, because you kind of change the funnel of death or where most of the fighting happens, right? At least when the Mira is there, you have to spend a lot of time clearing a certain amount of stuff to get the Mira window open or push her away. So it kind of speeds the whole game up a little bit. It's very interesting to see. And it is worth mentioning that both these guys are, I mean, they're not just titans of Siege, right? They've both taken a world championship at one point.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's been some time for some teams more than others. For Liquid, it was just earlier this year. Liquid had a massive descent after that win, though, which they just have not been able to seem to bounce back from, both either at LAN matches or even online matches. They only managed to take, if memory serves me correctly, 4th place in the last season of LATAM Pro League, not even being able to make it to the finals as a result of that. And this, of course, this event specifically, I think, was meant to make up for that lack of an appearance, but they're now facing a last place eliminations. They have to fight. They have to keep themselves in this matchup to redeem themselves.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, that this is an elimination match, right? There's no point in saving your strats here or anything. You want to win this one and get further, because otherwise you don't fly all the way from Brazil here to save strats, right? So watching Consulate earlier, I was a bit disappointed to see them use so much of what they did yesterday in the same game on defense, and they were truly struggling with it. At least now they're not opening up everything. They have a few reinforcements leading into sight, so we aren't seeing them do the, you know, the exact 1-to-1 setup that they did yesterday.
And of course, there's that all coveted invite that's still up for grabs here at this event as well, to the 6th Invitational in February, the next major, of course. So both teams certainly want to try and grab a spot for that if they haven't already qualified for it. For some of our other teams here, have certainly managed to do that for themselves already, but neither of these teams have managed to hold that position. So they both need to fight for that spot, but they're running into quite a difficult time doing that due to both the individual and team focus struggles that have been happening. Enough about that, though, as we are into the round, playing into the Armory first off to start on Team Liquid's defense.
Seemed to be a fairly default, you know, going for a CC clear here, or at least trying to get a feel for where the rumors are situated and what kind of hold they're running. They don't seem to have drawn enough out to actually know the setup here, and it isn't something that we saw yesterday, at least not from first glance.
Well, we are still going to see members of ENCE, for the most part, primarily just focusing on droning out here as much as they possibly can, just try and play for intel in the early round. We do need to get their players in the actual building here relatively soon, though, due to how quickly time is dwindling and how little ENCE has been able to accomplish with that. A duel is going to be taken on the first floor. It's Paula that will come out of the losing side of that. Liquid losing one of their lurkers again. It's the Capital moving forward that finds that. Sleven, once more from ENCE, is the one picking up a lot of these early round kills. That was happening along the last map and is going to continue to do so here on the 3rd map.
Slapping is, yeah, he's just been doing so much work for ENCE in terms of entry fragging, and it's almost, I contributed quite a lot of the rounds solely to him. I mean, sure, there's more than just the fragging, right? Somebody's droning out for him, they're helping him get their utilities used and stuff like that. But it's a massive shoes filling. He's just now got into the team and had to fill for Una.
Comfy going to be able to walk directly inside. Not exactly sure what Nesk was trying to defend, but he gets picked off relatively easily, and Sleben finds yet another kill. To continue your point, while we may not see him be the definitive player that outright wins the round, he's the one that opens up the opportunity to close out the round. He's the one that gives his team an easy way for them to be able to close things down for them. Sexy finally will get a kill. That is a diffuser going down, however, so if he can hold his own, may be able to hold the tide back, but no, he'll be immediately traded once again by Sleben, as he is being the player to single-handedly win it for his team. Picks up 3 out of 5 of the kills this time, with Wilkie grabbing the final one there.
But it does show quite a lot, you know, being in third map now after such a loss yesterday. You're the new guy on the block. There's quite some big players sitting next to him on this team. People that have played, you know, the big stage more than once, and he's the one, you know, doing the heavy lifting for them initially.
Yep, that's certainly gonna be great advertisement for him at a minimum for any potential future teams, and while it gets his name out there a lot as well, it's turning into a great event for him, regardless of if his team is able to survive Liquid when they manage to get onto their attacking side too. But we still have to yet to see if ENCE is going to be able to maintain strength. First round going their way, of course. Yes, is a good start, but Liquid could still adjust here as well and make up for this to still have a great defensive side.
With the lineup they're running now, I fear they might be trying to do almost the exact same setup as yesterday, where we see them open up almost everything on with the reinforcement coming in here from Mute, then that's not going to happen at least. I really don't want to see them, you know, copy too much from a previous day, because there's so much to learn if you just do the same stuff as yesterday, because people were able to sit there live and watch the top-down view and really get a feel for the setup, right? So I know there isn't a lot of time to practice and you can't have 100 different strats for each map, but make sure that you swap some of the things up so we don't have happen what happened on the console.
Yep. More importantly, so you don't run yourself into a repeat strat that ENCE would easily be able to break down multiple times. We talked about this, of course, before the game started. It's been the defensive rounds where both teams have seriously struggled, and repeating setups is not necessarily going to be the easiest way to circumvent continuous losses on the defensive side, as has been the plague both teams have had to try and suffer through to be able to keep them competitive in this matchup here so far. Is going to look like a relatively slow start once again here from ENCE, just taking their time to use drones to try and get as much intel as possible on the second floor. It is looking like they're going to go directly for second floor control, though. Probably only 1 or 2 players going to be moving in on the first floor to work that out. They have taken a similar strat to it before, though, on Liquid's side, with a lot of the walls being opened up for them to play off, at least on the inside of the armory, as they continue to look for any attempt at aggression that would come in from the ENCE side.
Yeah, it does look very close to what we saw yesterday. At least Chatted right now downstairs trying to open up and push people a little bit further back. So now they're kind of squeezing everyone over towards the walls they open themselves, which makes it a lot more hectic for the defending team.
Actually going to see quite a few members of Liquid try to get a little bit more aggressive here. Lurkers moving back down into the first floor through the workshop to try and see if they can sneak anything off from there. A few other players still holding these kind of hard points, though. Nesk right by the doorway. Of course, if he gets the push on the inside through here, he should have himself an easy opportunity for a pickup himself. But it is going to be Nesk, actually, that finds the first kill. And then Sexy Cake both dropped downstairs earlier, and they are able to find that additional impact. Most importantly, it knocks out the Buck as well, so there's no more easy dispersal of a lot of the floor panels up here in the armory that they might be able, or even in the archives as well, that they might be able to use to get easier access to knocking players from Liquid out of position.
The problem is, as long as there's roamers live downstairs, any kind of plant or execute on site becomes really difficult, because there's only so many spots that we normally see people plant bombs in, or the diffuser in, sorry. And it's very easy to pull a C4 off downstairs. Especially with these, you know, bulletproof Maestro cameras. Yep.
See Gomfy continue to look for an opportunity to get his team into the site. Capital using quite a few of his own bolts here as well, the micro smoke and the asphyxiation bolts, both going out onto the floor to try and allow these guys to move in. There's going to be a close contest. Somehow Boonsy picking up the kill over Gohan, however, and now gets the plant on the locker, but no, it's a double kill coming off with a C4 from Pala instead. The rest of Liquid quickly rotating, but it's not even really going to be needed. They're down to only the IGL again. It's Wilkie. He's way over in CCTV. He does have a decent amount of time to play off of, but considering what he's going up against, it's really stacked against the wall for him at this point, especially now that he's been spotted out. It's only a matter of time. Zig, hiding behind a corpse of one of his teammates, finishes off the round. And we do see an immediate trade from Team Liquid to take us to a 1-1 scoreline.
So all the bucking from below kind of came back to haunt them, because after Liquid retakes downstairs and they're running double C4. There's only so many places that you can go and plant the diffuser now. You can't plant it, you know, behind the half wall or bunker, as some people call it, because it's, you know, there's no floor there. So you're very, very likely to get shot from below. They then run up against the locker to try and plant there, but that's the only place where there's any floor left. So now C4ing becomes very easy to do for the defending team.
And unfortunately, because the two of them are stacked together, it just plays further into their hands and things quickly devolve relatively quickly. So a win from Liquid, of course, will finally take them away from the armory, and I believe send them downstairs to customs for their second round now.
And we see downstairs with no castle. That's
Attackers have located a bomb.
That's freshening things up a little bit.
It is going to allow quite a few opportunities for ENCE to just pick up free kills, especially with good intel, considering how penetratable the room is going to end up being.
So yesterday we saw them play very, very heavy on the CCTV and kind of allow Trust to try and push in, right? They almost baited them in to try and go for a plant and then went for a retake instead. Now it seems they're playing with the hatch open in CCTV, so ENCE has to go up and clear this before they go for a push.
Yep, as we'll see an immediate drop down for many of the members of Liquid if they do try to go for direct control themselves. This also may be why they left some of the walls open to maybe leave more opportunities for off-site play open for Liquid in general here and give them room to work around. Although I don't know if that's the best policy, should that be the way they try to play this round out, considering how successful some of the first entry players have been on ENCE's attack side at just knocking out a lot of the lone players and lurkers that we've seen on Liquid's defense.
And ENCE doing a really good read here as well with having both Box of Fear and Capital. Because if you are playing these, you know, immense amounts of soft walls, then the Capital is really good at making you move out if you're prone or in cover or anything, because you can almost always make a bullet hole and then get your arrow to go exactly where you want it to.
Immediately force players out of hiding spots, and like we said, because of the lack of a lot of reinforcements here, that can potentially send them open in the positions to get wall banged. It is a slow opener once again. Slevin on the Capital will get forced out of his own position here in the archives. The rest of the team being held up with him as well, and it looks like Liquid really wants to fight directly on top of this push that's going to be coming in from the archives on ENCE. They want to try and stop this as much as possible, and more importantly, stop access to the armory hatch and the steps, which are right outside of this room.
I mean, Liquid has 3 guys focused on this right now. Smoke's looking there, Jaeger's holding an angle, and Maestro's on his camera, actively on it.
Paula once more. Oh, just misses the cross right there, as we do see members of ENCE starting to push across the threshold. And unfortunately, this is potentially going to leave one of his teammates out to dry here, as we do see him moving in. But no, Sexy Cake is able to spot him out instead from the small office. Finds the pick against Slevin. The smoke is actually going to end up taking out Gumphy in the process here. And we'll continue to see more players from Liquid move in to crush this. Paula still working with Sexy Cake upstairs. There's only one player from Liquid left in control of the archives. They've already spotted him out. He's gone down, and that'll be a quick finish coming in from Sexy to allow for another pick and leave ENCE with only 2 players left. It's just going to be Bouncy able to work with Wilkie. That is going to be the Thermite and Twitch combo.
We're talking about the people or teams lacking on the defense side, but what a beautiful read from Liquid here. Great shot from Bouncy, but that's not going to help him too much.
Trade found there at least helps to keep Wilkie in the fight. The problem is, again, once more, now the diffuser's gone down too. He's had to go outside of the building. He's going to try to wrap back around. He still has a 1v3 to play against here now. Thankfully, quite a bit of that site has been opened up, so he should have good vision, but that's a double-edged sword, as it also allows for members of Team Liquid to easily pick him off should he try to even get close to this site. You can see the angles prepared for him. Now he knows he has to deal with it, but he still can't get the better of it. Nesk finishes off the round for Liquid, as they're finally picking up some consistency on this defensive side. 2 rounds in a row now for them.
You saw how difficult it was here because Wilkie spotted the laser on the floor there, and the only way it can end up there is if you're looking for the hatch, and even then he was struggling, you know, like no chance on taking that gunfight. But it was really interesting to see Liquid spend so much effort and really gamble and use all 3 smokes up in the opposite end of the building. We almost never see that. They had Jaeger, Smoke, and Maestro fully occupied with stopping the Archives push.
It seemed like they had a complete read as to what ENCE wanted to do, though, as that was, like you mentioned, just such a heavy commitment to it that normally we would not see. And it works perfectly because it completely kills ENCE's plans, leaves the last two really without a hope in the world. They get a little bit closer with being able to at least trade into their favor on the one-for-one exchange, but it doesn't really end up mattering all that much, as at the end of the day, it's still a quick closeout from TeamLiquid due to the angles that they held and due to the lack of access to the map that the players of ENCE had.
But then it is amazing to see ENCE then stick with it so much, right? When you start having 2 or 3 smokes thrown at you in the opposite end of the map, shouldn't you assume that maybe, like, they're putting some effort over here, right? Maybe back off a bit.
Maybe we shouldn't move in. The thing that I think kept ENCE in that fight is, if you remember, one player did manage to push past the smokes and started to wrap around the other side. I think that one player's position kept a little bit of hope that, okay, maybe we can still get past this. Maybe we can take down Sexy Cake instead of the small office and then push the players out from the metal detectors from that point forward. Unfortunately, Sexy Cake picks up that kill, and then the other 2 players that were sitting back at Archives are pretty much locked in the fight at that point. So no way to retreat.
It's so rare that we see more reinforcement used, you know, in the opposite end of the map as to on the bomb site, though, and majority of people playing over there. So, I mean, great read from Liquid. It's such a gamble being so split up. They could very easily have been blocked off if East Air control was open, an Ash Charge or anything through the wall into CC. So now you have them split, and it's much harder for them to rotate back. If a quick read happened from ENCE on that, well, it would have been almost impossible for Liquid to get back to site, but that was not what happened, and ENCE got kind of stuck.
Unfortunately, without any way to retreat due to one of their players getting immediately knocked out, they did leave themselves in a bad spot and were unable to come back from, I believe, the 2v3 or 2v5 that they ended up in towards the end of the round. Once more, ENCE is going to prioritize the upstairs control to start things off, even though we are on a downstairs site. It's looking like they're just going to drone things out, try to figure out where their lurkers are positioned, and then once more start the move in. They'll be able to locate one in a moment over by CCTV, but same as the last round, they're going to start things off just by moving in and taking control of the offices, and then probably moving in Archives from that point forward.
I'd like to see Liquid do this like half soft wall instead. What a C4 from Shadow from Bathroom. Nice. Or Gohan, sorry. I'd like to see Liquid do this half soft wall setup where yesterday we saw them destroy almost everything, right? Now there's a few reinforcements, they have some ways of moving around. And the exact same C4 that we saw there, we saw yesterday as well. They open up the wall, you have a player going up, sitting there, he's running to drone or something before he peeks into Archives, then gets C4'd by Gohan.
Finding another pickup here. Once more, it's Gomfy trying to sneak his way in past the player in the small office, but it won't work. Paula holds on his own by the hatch anyway. And Sexy Cake is not even really challenged inside of the small office. And losing players left and right. This hole in the floor being a constant of strife really for both teams here, but it's Nesk again finding another pickup and bringing it down to only one. Bouncy himself. The smoke is going to get thrown in his face, which will force him out in a second here. Takes some shots at a player that's already gone down. He will be able to win the fight against the Maestro at minimum. Now still locked in a 1 versus 4, as that's the first kill that his team has been able to pick up in this entire round. They know he's sitting inside the lockers here too, so they can just start to move in and isolate his position, preventing any further momentum. Actually go pretty aggressively here to take another peek against the broken floor panels that previously he was trying to battle towards until he lost all his teammates, of course. And now it's looking like he might just go for the drop down. At the very minimum, try to play. Some info here. The flash, though, hits him directly head on. He'll blind himself as he drops down. Is not even really able to figure out where the shots were coming from. He's completely surrounded, though, and now he's at less than 25 HP. Only a matter of time before he's knocked out. And Nesk will once again pick up the last kill.
I think Liquid figured out that maybe if they put the same focus and energy into the defense, then the game was a lot easier for them. They just, everything seems to have changed, right? The way that they rotate the roamers, the utility they put in, the energy, the read, the chance they took with ENCE in the previous round, and now like it ends out with a 4v1 in the end there for Liquid. It's looking completely different than any of the other maps so far. And
it's becoming more and more of a common scenario here in this half as well, where Liquid just seems to dominate. I mean, there's been 2 rounds in a row now on 2 different sites where we've seen Liquid able to lock things down on the 2nd floor before ENCE are even really able to get all that much control and prevent them from really even starting anything in these rounds.
As you see here, we have a quick technical break, but I mean, talking about that border game, you'd assume that going into it, you wouldn't let a map like that just, you know, jump in after watching what happened yesterday, right? Maybe how are you going to deal with all these, you know, super open soft wall strats on top floor. Pulling a shield in could be something, right? We saw, I mean, Glass is banned, so that's not going to do much. But Bouncy is a good Blackbeard player as well. There's definitely places you could utilize this, both on the ventilation roof and on what we call the sandwich window, right? There's quite a few ways that they'd be able to either use Sophia or Ash or Buck to open up more of it and give the attackers, you know, a way to, I guess, dissect the whole top floor.
Well, let's see here once again. We do go back to the top floor for this next round, and we'll continue to see if impact can be found at all here by ENCE, who has had a great run on attack, including the opening round of this map. Has failed to do anything since then due to Liquid dominating, and this is starting to look more and more like our opening map as a result of that. But it was Liquid that started to attack back then, so obviously finally finding some solidity on this offensive side.
10 seconds to insertion.
But not anything new coming out from any of the teams. Are Liquid playing the same lineup as they have the whole game, more or less?
Yeah. ENCE similar as well here. Not a whole lot in terms of their change-ups. We do see a little bit more utility coming into the picture for them, I think, but that's pretty much it. Intel, I think, is something that's a little bit more needed for them at this point. Being able to hopefully scout out these more aggressive setups earlier on from Liquid seems to be the thing they need to be able to do to at least allow them to start the round off before they are completely shut down in the first room they try to enter.
I think they might be too, they do strats, right? That they commit to pushing something, and then if they're forced to or held back there, that's where the game ends. It seemed that on a few attacks that they aren't so willing to give up progress on one place and then, you know, rotate around the whole map to try something different.
They're a bit hard-headed, basically, in that respect. And we're sticking to our strategy. We're not going to be trying anything different. This is what we're going to go for. I do see that pretty massive stack of players on the armory there from TeamLiquid, so we'll see if they'll be able to work anything off of that.
That could be one good name.
Could be. We do see some explosives getting chucked in there, just not on the mark, unfortunately. A little bit off, and of course, ENCE don't even really have positions established on the inside just yet to work for this. They did manage to get CCTV in the meanwhile, though, along with the western balcony in general, and have cleared out this side of the map. So at least they've gotten inside of the building to start things off, and they'll have an easy access to be able to get this thermite charge off, opening a hole into the armory site. Now the question is, can they actually get inside of here without getting torn to shreds? Because if you remember, it's still there. You can see the silhouettes in the background. Liquid have this massive stack of players sitting inside of Armory.
Yeah, and they're going to rely on, you know, the Capital smokes and the fire arrows go in now. But they also, defense team has a smoke, right? Liquid has smoke coming out right there. So no push coming in. And if you counter that at the same time as Capital arrows going in, you're wasting gadgets 1-for-1. But the ENCE doesn't have any way of getting in on site. And they're going to end up in the same corner trying to plant as last time. If we see anyone being able to drop downstairs, you might see the same C4 as we saw previously as well.
We're going to see all four of the bolts getting used at once, I believe, or at least both of the asphyxiation bolts. Lifelines are going to be used on the way in here, too. ENCE trying to throw everything they've got at this push to be able to get them to the inside and go for a plant. Forced into the corner. They do find two entries on the way towards this as well. One of their players is going to end up getting knocked down. Liquid trying to force back in. They're not able to stop the plant, however. And as a result, Shante also lines up an additional kill to take out another member of Team Liquid here. Overall, Liquid are not going to be left with a whole lot to do in terms of a retake here. Finally, ENCE establishes a good position and more importantly finds the impact necessary. Peeking directly into Bouncy, who still sits directly on top of the bomb. The trade is found, but the problem is Paula not left alone. It's not stopping him though. He finds another kill. Time, however, is starting to get low, and he still has 3 more players to try and isolate, including one directly below his feet at this point. They'll try to jump on the defuse, looks for that kill, but it won't be found. It's a Wilkie instead that finds the next pickup. Finally, we do see that second round picked up by ENCE on the attacking side.
And we see here, the defuse only going down because Shadow was at the window at the exact right time. He managed to just catch the guy as he was sprinting in to stop the defuse going down.
And so it's looking like Liquid are going to take a quick tactical pause now after that one, which I'm okay with. Personally, let's give them a moment, right? Defense has been the key issue for both of these teams. So let's give Liquid a moment here to immediately look at, okay, guys, let's quickly analyze what exactly went wrong there. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out so we don't run into this issue for the last round.
Yeah, and in all fairness, they had a really, really good setup there.
Yeah.
It was very close. Stopping the, I think it was a mute running downstairs, stopping him from, you know, killing the guy defusing pretty much meant that ENCE got the round there. If he could shoot him, if he could get a C4 off, if Shadow wasn't at that window, then it would have gone to Liquid.
And it was the Maestro as well that actually almost denied the plan. He just didn't peek out. He barely just didn't peek out enough to be able to drop that diffuser, in which case, again, that could have been another situation where Liquid ended up running out of time or just are unable to recover that diffuser. And of course, Liquid could play it in a much more passive fashion to finish that round off. But the diffuser goes down, and because that entire floor had been completely destroyed, it's really all on Wilkie down below, who has a pretty easy hold at that point to shut down anyone who attempts to even get close to the diffuser.
Yeah, there's something ironic about opening up that floor in behind the half wall, because as long as you have attackers downstairs to cover it and you plant, it's, you know, the best thing. But it's also the one thing that makes you never able to plant there if you don't have enough attackers. So to some extent, you might want to open it just before you execute, especially because you have people outside already lined up. When you do your smokes, your mollies and everything, or your tower arrows, the asphyxiating bolts, open it right when you do that, because you're going to make the guy run away, and again, you can possibly catch him off or get a kill on that. He has to run through the fire as you go for the plant. It might be worth it to time it that way instead, because you still have to have a guy run down to the window just when the plant's about to go.
We continue to move into this. Liquid hold a delicate lead now at 3-2 during the last round of the first half here. For Liquid, if we continue to see success on their attacking side, this is probably good news to them, especially if they can maintain a 4-2 coming off the defensive end. They're probably going to be pretty happy considering that this entire series has been so attacker-sided, and this is so far really the one exception to that.
Yeah, I mean, normally we wouldn't be hyping up having 3 rounds out of 5 on defense, but
it seems to be such a rare thing in this matchup.
Yeah, in these two teams, it truly seems to matter who wins the defense rounds, and especially that we haven't really seen anyone really win, you know, big and with some statement on their defense round.
Yeah, whereas Liquid's done that twice at minimum here, just completely
exactly.
shutting out ENCE and trying to get control of the upstairs portion of the map. There's been 2 times where they've just had a complete lock on their strategy and stopped them from doing anything at all. So that's a big change up compared to what we've seen, where previously defensive rounds have only been won through a series of trades in a very close, near clutch situation at a lot of the late round situations. Gohan will start things out once again for Liquid, knocking out Bouncy early on. Gohan actually is going to go for a little bit of potential walkout here. Hole's been blown open, and that's how he picked up the kill. Let's be very careful about someone else that could potentially be watching that. Regardless, though, it doesn't seem as though that's the case. He walks directly to the outside and finds a second kill before finally being traded up by Wilkie.
He's got Bok and Thermite down here, which is huge. Sure, they got the Thermite charge into jail, so they can go for a push from there. But Passport's out of play. There's no way they're doing that. CCTV as well. Sleben kind of makes it even odds right away.
And once again, right, it's Sleben jumping up once again for the ENCE side here too, so really, really proving himself as the new 5th man to this team and continuing to find that stable impact that maybe won't win the round at the end of the day, but will certainly give his team the opportunity they need to get easy access to his site and then close out from that point forward. He's really the setup man, it seems to be, for ENCE in all 3 of these maps today.
And a great way to deal with a guy playing behind the table up in CCTV. He mollies that, goes in and entry fracks the other guy.
Gomfi now going to be trying to move in through prison over here, see if he can get himself access to the first floor and start to lurk towards these sites a little bit. A's actually completely open for the take, so those lifelines unfortunately aren't going to find a whole lot of impact. We do see Sexcake picking up the next kill here. What Sexcake does have, though, is the angle down into the A site, and that's their primary form of defense against this instead of an actual active position. Now that they're down to only 2 players, of course, they can't really afford to have one on each site. Play a little bit more proactively and a little bit more creatively, which is why Sexcake is positioned upstairs right now, inside of the CCTV.
And this position is something we saw a couple seasons ago. I think it was discovered and started to be played a lot on border. It makes it almost impossible to take A as long as CCTV is under control. You're very well covered in this corner, right? And you can, as you can see here, see people sneak around outside the window, and you can smoke them off.
It's going to be able to drop the diffuser in the process here too, so now we're also going to see another pickup made as they have to move in to be able to retrieve that. Gone down, and that's going to be the end of it here now. As Liquid, all they need to do is finish off the Zofia. They'll do that relatively quickly, and Liquid do indeed finish off the defensive half. The first time this entire series we've seen the defending team have an advantage at the end of that half, as Liquid will maintain a 4-2 lead now as we switch sides.
And again, quite confident win on that defense. I mean, Sleben still somehow manages to just walk in and not really care too much that Liquid knows how to play defense all of a sudden. But if it wasn't for Sleben, that would have been a stop, right?
Yeah, very much
on the defense.
Very much the case indeed. Sleben really the one player that opens up any opportunity at all for Team Liquid, and besides that, not seeing a lot of that impact from ENCE. I think Wilkie had himself a couple good kills himself, but nothing really definitive that outright won the round. It was some simple closeouts that I think we picked up from him, and for the rest of the team, it was relatively unimpressive.
I mean, of course, we have to mention that it's not always just because, you know, that the guy getting the frags is the guy capable of fragging. It has a lot to do with the position you play in the team and what your job and your role is. The important thing is really if you're playing a fragging role, then you have to frag, right? If you're playing a support role and you start getting a lot of frags, well, then maybe it's you know, overplaying what you need to or just having a damn good day.
We will continue to move into it, and ENCE will share the same thoughts as Liquid with regards to their starting site choice. They're going to move directly over to the Armory Archive start on the second floor. We are going to see Liquid has as much success on this attacking side as they have had in previous maps here.
10 seconds to insertion.
And they are going to bring kind of the expected lineup to the table when it comes to their attacking side as well. Here we have still that combo that can be used with the Twitch drone along with Nesk playing with the Ashe that we might see make a reappearance here. It wasn't as popular, I think, on the previous map. They kind of shifted away from it a little bit, but we'll see if we spot it again here.
I think if I was ENCE, I'd even look into banning Ashe. Like, I'm not kidding. Pull Nesk off that for just a little bit, or take something away from their, you know, roam hunting crew. Because it really limits what ENCE can do in terms of defense.
That's very true, considering that Liquid most of the time has been relying on Nest to be able to pick up those opening couple of kills or at least isolate a few lurkers to be able to push them back to sites, which would open up really good opportunities for Liquid to just move around and freely scout out the rest of the map before they actually started pushing for a take here. There we go, it's going to be the usual start to this one. The right charge is going to be used inside of the break room to give them access to the next one over, but he'll quickly abandon that pursuit and head back the other way to regroup with the rest of his team upstairs here. That's just going to give it Nesk, I think, a little bit of an angle to play off of from the outside. There's emphasis once more, of course, on approaching the west balcony for Team Liquid to move in. Probably use the second charge here, but they have to be careful. The Bandit also has position on the inside as well. It's a good start, however, for Team Liquid via a grenade. It's Gomfeet that's going to be found out. Only one of their lurkers getting eliminated here as well. Two immediate trades found from the other side, though, by ENCE. Gohan trying to battle this back to the best of his abilities, but no, a big walkout from Wilkie. He finds another kill, and ENCE seemingly started to fall behind here at the beginning of this round. Very, very quickly battled it back when Team Liquid looked to contest. Now they just don't have any capability to move in from the west balcony at all anymore. They're going to have to try their best to drone in and work off of that. There's the ping, but remember, with the charges in place, they're not going to be able to break down the wall, and both of their players will go down without much contest against ENCE whatsoever.
We might just see a swap again.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's in store at this point, considering the way that the first two maps have gone, and now it's all defensive rounds, but I'll give Liquid the benefit of the doubt, considering that was just the first round.
Let's give them a couple.
Yeah, we'll wait until rounds 2 or 3 before we start making that assumption that everyone knows how to play defense all of a sudden in their attacking sides, which has gone really poorly here. It's going to move downstairs once more here for ENCE 2, as they'll shift over to the workshop and vent sites for the second round.
Not too much standing out here. I mean, Alibi is one of those picks where strategically she doesn't add as much as you might think. You could argue that you can put it in front of some windows, which limits you jumping in before shooting it, because at least you get marked. It also makes spraying through the windows, you know, something that might mark you. We've seen a few people try and get like angles off Alibi, but it's kinda, it's a bit iffy. If an a spray or anything, there's a very good chance you get shot, and it's not like people are just instantly gonna ignore them just because it's a hologram. So we often see Alibi played as like a comfy pick. It's because the gun is nice and you know, enjoyable to play, and it has very low recoil.
More than anything, the utility is basically used as a delay tactic, I think,
yeah,
in a lot of situations. There it causes uncertainty from the attacking side, and as you mentioned, if, for instance, you accidentally spam it through a window or just happen to mistake it and get marked, it pushes you back for a couple of seconds while you have to wait out the timer on your identification.
And while Alibi is active, you can't tell who runs out either.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some kind of value to that as well.
It's going to be Liquid moving in from the south side to begin their push. They are going to start from the second floor. Look to slowly move in here. Once again, they've already moved in with drones too, so after they scout this out, see that there's not really a whole lot of pressure from ENCE on the upstairs, especially towards CCTV. They should be able to pretty easily get control here. They just have to be careful of the play inside of the armory. They know that. The thermite charge is immediately going to go down following the flashbang. They'll breach it open. The player from ENCE will have to fall back relatively quickly here as they'll move in for some drone intel following that. The player from ENCE that was positioned just behind this wall has already moved back into the small office, though. It's going to be ready to take a fight from there instead.
It seems like they're going to get at least an armory clear for almost free up here.
Gohan catches the run out there. It's going to be able to take down the smoke, actually, who's caught running outside, which is definitely going to be a little bit off the mark for ENCE. It's a big loss early on and allows Liquid a whole lot more time to execute, too.
And it is so unnecessary that it is smoke to do this. You could have done this with Mute or Alibi or Jaeger, who have nothing left to give the team in terms of utility, except for 2 impact nades and 1 C4. But Smoke has a lot more strength late game.
Even Legion, to a certain extent, would be a better choice to move out there. Although he, of course, snowballs a little bit in terms of his effectiveness in the round. But Wilkie's going to move into a different position now to possibly try and get aggressive against these players, or at least catch them as they move in. He has a spot just by the supply room. Window is not breached, though, so it would be quite obvious if he tried to go for anything aggressive here and really won't be able to do that. Another pickup is found. It is going to be a drone kill, actually, as one player is knocked out. The Twitch drone will be finishing him off from the downstate. Another kill picked up by Nesk, as we were talking about this before. They should have pretty easy access to this. They do indeed get that quick armory clear, and now they have kind of Skywatch over this site right now, which means they should be able to pretty safely execute over these next couple of seconds.
And you see the squad of Doom all stacked up right outside the window, so within the next few seconds, all hell is going to break loose, right?
Ready to move in. Wilkie is ready for the challenge himself. Quickly retreats inside of Customs after finding that opening kill. A lot of breaches on the wall, though, and more importantly, Gonfi's going to be caught by the armory hold on the upstairs position. Liquid holds strong positions once more. Time is getting a little bit low here. More importantly, Wilkie might just be able to sneak off a kill against one of these players due to the hole in the wall. He just can't see them, though. Let's see, you can hear the breach, and yes, we'll get caught on the run out, finishing off the round and allowing for Liquid to take control of their first attacking victory.
You see them take armory with almost no effort upstairs. It was very, very quickly that they pushed people back to site. And then the smoke jump out, that just seems like you're starting to be, you know, you're getting a little bit frantic, looking for solutions that aren't really there. It's not the way to fix it, not to jump your smoke out.
Solutions to problems that don't exist,
yeah.
I think is a good way to describe it there. But we do see, again, success from Liquid on their attack. That'll put them to 5. 2 more, and they'll have not only the map, but the series in their favor, knocking ENCE out of the tournament in last place, which is certainly not something they would have liked to see. So they're going to fight their hardest to stay in this as they now shift over towards the vent room in the workshop once again here.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Liquid seems to be glued to these operators on attack.
And there's not really any reason to switch them.
No, it's working for them.
It's working for them, and it works really well on this map. You've got the Thermite to get the quick armory control for them once again. Obviously, the Jackal plays for great intel, as is the Twitch. And then we have the combo that's been working together of Nesk along with the Buck playing together in a lot of situations, and it just works together so well oftentimes, especially with how destructible this map is for the second floor on the floorboards there that can be broken into these sites. A lot of intel to play off of, and Nesk, with the aim that he brings to the table, can certainly punish that once the holes are opened up for him.
Yeah, and then when you take the C7 from Jackal to RX, from Ash, and then Twitch's F2, you have some amazing fragging guns as well. So even if you were to just see past utility, the guns themselves are so amazingly good. And if you are playing these, you know, super aggressive, take every gunfight you basically can and try and refrag, then it really matters. We've always seen Brazilian teams lean kind of towards more gun heavy than anything else.
And similarly, are sticking with a relatively similar setup that we've seen in previous rounds from them. Going to be sticking with Lottie Tilly, although we do see the Bandit coming in, which I believe is new from previous rounds. Hopefully he's going to allow them to hold things off. Actually, no, they did have the Bandit last round. Excuse me. Apologies. I forgot they had this wall off last time. Although they were still able to get past it, thankfully. And we are going to see another Bandit battery having to go down here to block things off as once more the ADS gone. They can move in and isolate out those batteries. They were able to take one down, but they're still going to be delayed here as a result. the battery being replaced there, and that seemed to be the main intent behind the behind bringing Bandit back into the fold for this round, is to deny such easy access to Armory, which allowed for Liquid to win that last round in such an easy fashion that they did.
Take cover.
Here we go. There's the breach. They once again quickly take care of the battery, push the players back. The shock wire now gone. Shate is actually just going to abandon this position completely instead of trying to hold for the small office. He's going to fall back downstairs and play into the site.
This is where we're going to see if they can get the same clear top floor without really using too much and without losing any players on the attacking team, then it becomes almost impossible for the defense team to retake the site afterwards. So then they just have to try and sneak a guy into plant. There isn't too much C4 to deal with. Right now, currently after Bandit just took a hit, it's only Mute left on the boat.
This is, again, a relatively small amount of utility. Twitch kind of is taken out in terms of utility, I think, as a result of the Armory control, but as soon as they get it, it's so dominant for them that it doesn't seem like ENCE are really able to contest it whatsoever. In fact, ENCE is still trying to lurk around here, look for any advantage they might be able to get against Liquid, but Liquid are so against playing the first floor here until they actually go for the execute. There's not a whole lot for these lurkers on the first floor to be able to get themselves. You can still see the majority of Team Liquid sitting outside of the building, not giving ENCE the opportunities they would like for these lurkers. However, for Liquid here, do need to get themselves ready for an execute relatively soon. Only 30 seconds remaining on the clock. Thankfully, for ENCE, positions are still established upstairs, and Liquid don't have such easy control like they did on the previous round.
Yeah, the way they're playing right now, they really pretty much only have one chance to execute, and it has to work on the first try. There's no resets or anything going on here.
Smoke's moving in. They start things off with a solid opening kill here as well. Problem is, Wilkie still has an angle. The smoke is not perfect in any sense. Thankfully, the trades are strong. Nesk finds an additional pickup, but here comes the interruption from Bootsy. Tries to get a second kill, and with the follow-up, Liquid still managed to piece it together despite losing their diffuser plant and despite the time being as low as it was.
Yeah, so diffuser plant gets denied with 5 seconds left, I think. And again, we're seeing Liquid, you know, finish rounds in the sub 10-second. It's crazy how well they play when it gets that far down on the clock. But it also has something to do with, it's not really something that's that easy to practice. Because now you're stressed and you're actually playing for something. It's very difficult to practice in scrims what you do with 10 seconds left when all your players are there, because you aren't playing in the positions that you'd otherwise be, you know, in the start of the round or through the round when you're rotating and stuff is happening. Here, they were waiting outside for 30 seconds, droning out, figuring out, okay, there's a guy here, we're gonna smoke this up, go for a plant, and then we're just gonna storm pile in from everywhere and take every gunfight while we go for this defuse.
Did see a 6-pick from our attacking side on Team Liquid. Wanted to make it look like they were going to bring more destructibility to the table with a sledge, but at the last moment swap that back out for the Jackal as he's going to be coming in once again. So still sticking with that primary lineup that we've been seeing them use for most of the series, to be honest.
I think they might just be trying to signal that if ENCE wants to go for a castle, sorry, that, you know, then now is definitely not the time. They'd be ready for it.
Well,
although having both Ash and grenades, they still have a way to deal with it.
Well, this is the quintessential round potentially for ENCE here, as they have to hold themselves off now against Team Liquid. Team Liquid sits at the threshold of being able to shut down this entire series and take control at a 2-1 final score, allowing them to survive for now, at least, until later on in the day when they have to face off in the final match of the group. So knocking ENCE out of the group first. Definitely a surprise indeed, to be sure. But let's take a look now at the opening push from Team Liquid, as once again, they are going to prioritize control of the balcony here. Probably going to start grouping up towards the west side. Might look for a little bit of control towards CCTV as well. Still slow played from them as they are, at this moment, mainly droning out for intel across the map to start things off.
I feel like this is much more of a fourth and back we'd wish than both Bank and Consulate. This seems to be where both teams are actually starting to be a bit confident and actually, you know, do their strats and fight against each other proper, adapt a little bit.
No team really seeming lost on this map compared
to
some of the other ones where oftentimes due to either early kills in the round or other factors, they would just kind of try their best to pick for frags and oftentimes fail in that respect. But now we do see ENCE continuing to lurk around, specifically Wilkie, who's been, again, one of the more consistent fragging pieces, although maybe not influential in the frags, but at the very minimum still racking up kills on round to round to keep his team competitive in these rounds. He's once again going to be on the field of the floor here, looking for anything that he might be able to find. Gomfi knocks out a drone, at least. Trying TeamLiquid's look for intel here. Liquid once again off to a bit of a slow start in this round. But that's part of the course. That's what we've come to expect from them so far on this half. So it's not a surprise to see them continuing to do that.
I see ENCE putting a lot of effort in these tiny angles and you know, trying to find these lines of sight.
Oh no.
So I don't know if everyone saw this, but there was a little bit of a laser battle going on the wall. And I guess Karma's rough.
Finally, one breaches through the veil, as we do see grenades successfully impacting, knocks out the bandit. No reapplications of the shock wires to go down to the ground, meaning finally we can see the wall getting breached open from the west balcony. Opens up an opportunity. They can move in. They're going to draw to the position of Shate. He knows he's been spotted out, but it's still thankfully a safe position sitting over here behind the half wall. But Floor is going to get brought out from underneath of him. A quick retreat at very minimum will keep him alive. And actually, because of that retreat, Shate is allowed to figure out his position and take him down. It's keeping the team competitive. The problem is it's the only trade we've seen from the side of ENCE so far in this round. It's really all coming down to him to try and deny as much of this push as possible. Wilkie fragging it again, but it was only a matter of time. Shate is knocked out. That gives them access from the west balcony. C4 in from Wilkie, but it won't find the impact it needs. Wilkie goes blind diving inside of the smoke. He'll end up going inside and being taken out by Paula. Another kill picked up by Sexy Cake. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be TeamLiquid that close out in a very close affair here on Border, 8-3 or